Welcome to the morning chat, my dear friend, creative director and co-founder of Panache Digital, Patrice Desilets.
Two? Okay. Thank you, Damir.
Third year in a row.
Third year in a row. It's my
Yeah.
little Croatian vacation and it rhymes. And when it rhymes, it means it makes sense. So Croatian vacation in April, I have to come here.
Well, not only that, like you are pretty well known internationally as a creator of Assassin's Creed, but in these parts you're more known as the worldwide exclusive reveal guy at Reboot Develop.
So I use I don't know why, but I use Croatia as a jumping platform for my new things. So yes, 3 years ago I announced my new game Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey here when I did the keynote, and it was really at the beginning of it all. Last year I showed 1666 Amsterdam that I just got back from Ubisoft a week prior to coming here. So today I'll have a little something also at the end. So yeah, so today also, at the end of our discussion, I'll have a little something for you guys. And that after that will be on YouTube, but you'll be the very first one to see images that are moving on a screen, which is a little movie that we did of Ancestors of the game we're making back in Montreal. It's okay, it's the beginning of the... do you have a question? We can start right away with the Q&A, because this is basically what we're doing today, right, Damir? Damir eventually will have a mic and he will ask me some question about my reality these days. But just to fill up, because I know there's people live now on Twitch, so I'll make sure that they have something to watch. But I worked 13 years at Ubisoft with big teams. So I'm pretty much a triple-A guy. Making Assassin's Creed was a adventure in team building, because we were 200, and then 300, and then 400, and then almost 800 on Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. And now I've got a studio in Montreal where will be 25 in 2 weeks, because I just hired a new person.
I remember when we talked like 2 years ago, you told me like, oh yeah, like I'm going to run a studio, it's going to be like 12 people, it's going to be small, I'm going to keep it small, a family, and like maybe like never more than 14, 15. That's what everybody tells me, and then like you come back 2 years later and it's 25. Like, are you going to come back in
next
a year and
yes.
say like, oh, now it's 50 people, but it's still smaller than 3,000 that the Rockstar has?
Yeah, I'm lucky that I will never beat 200 or 800, and that's not the goal. I know I wanted to be 15, and then eventually we started to make a game, and we got well funded, so I got money to hire people. And we're 24 physically, because that's the amount of desks that we have. So we are 24, and then a month ago, we just like tear down a wall, and we added up 8 places. So next year I'll be 32. Because it's the amount of desks that limit my studio, basically. But I like 25, it's like it's like a class, it's like a school class, right? So it's a fair amount of people, yet not too big. But those 24, not all of us do check-ins, where they don't actually, some of them don't actually produce any data. So the marketing dude, you don't want him to do any check-in in the game. The producer, hell no. Myself, not too much. We got a tester, a girl, and I got 2 girls. I wish I had more. I'm trying, and I had to say, okay, if the candidate has a dick, he's not hired. I had to, and I didn't want to, but I had to say, look, it's right now, I didn't ask publicly, it's maybe the first time, but I had to say to my team, we need some girls in there. I'm not telling the story of humankind only between guys. It didn't happen like that, by the way. So you know, right? You need to make babies. You know Damir? Hey, by the way, you all know, but he's gonna be a dad.
Let's get back onto the topic,
Okay,
Patrice.
sorry.
So let's talk about your baby.
Yeah, I got 2.
Ancestors.
Okay, oh,
The
I got
third
3
one.
then. Yeah.
So, like, you are now 25. You were used to working at a pretty big studio when you were doing Assassin's Creed. It was a super high-profile game, basically like your typical AAA out there. And your new game that you're developing is basically a really high-profile game as well. But how are you managing the production with only 25 people and still like keeping the standards super high, keeping the production levels super high, and still like managing to do great things?
There's multiple ways that we're doing it. First, you have to know that the president of the company is also the game designer and the creative director. So I made sure that the subject matter, even though it looks really big per se, is small. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that. It's about evolution. It's about starting from little things to bigger things, and this is exactly how we produce the game. So we make sure that we have, like, it's what I call the Russian dolls pipeline. So you start always with the smallest thing, the smallest doll, and then you build on top of it. And you make sure that every time you put something in the game, it doesn't crash the game. So you make sure that you always have a game to ship. It's always kind of ready to ship. And if we shipped Ancestors today, which we won't, okay, don't start any rumors, but it would be playable. You would have an experience, maybe not the one we want at the end, but there would be something. So right now, as soon as there's a bug or there's a crash, we all stop and we fix the problem, and then we move on. And how do we manage to create great stuff is that we're all in it together for the game. Mm-hmm. All the business and the studio BS is not part of our everyday life. Nobody is at Panache to take my spot. There's no real hierarchy at Panache. I make the decision, and it's clear for everyone. And everybody like put their efforts and insight into the game, but they don't have to. They're not in competition with each other at all. And so there's no real HR at Panache. Also, it's me and my partner who are doing the HR. We're all in the same room. The studio is about half the size of this room, and all the 25 are inside the same room. We can write on all the walls inside the studio. So the war room is, in fact, the studio. When I do a team meeting, I just stand up, right? Everybody's there. I can, if somebody's like having an idea or it's not, it doesn't go with my vision, I say, oh, stop. Oh, that's good. So it creates a dynamic where the creativity, but also in the craft making, is there every day, all the time. And this is how we can produce. And in my experience in big teams and big structure, that there's a lot of stuff that get lost. And there's a lot of competition of like, oh no, I'm the one deciding, and he doesn't do his job, and you put a lot of effort on useless stuff, basically. And then I'm lucky enough to have attracted a bunch of talented guys, basically, like who've done big games before. Some of them work together also, and we created a pretty awesome culture of game making, and everybody working on Ancestors. There's nothing else. So this is how, I don't remember the question, but my answer was awesome.
Cool. Awesome question.
So that's it. Thank you very much.
But you said that you were not working on anything else, so Amsterdam right now, that's like, it's on hold?
Oh, it's somewhere on the computer.
Waiting for some...
right now we're focused on Ancestors. Ancestors for Panache will be the beginning of it all somehow, because we're building first the game, the culture of the company. You have to know, when I was here 2 years ago, we were 6. we didn't have a space. We didn't have an office yet. And so we started from 6 coming to my place every Tuesday. That was our rule. And now we're 25. And so we built also a studio. We built offices, right? And so we had to do this. And where am I heading with that?
I don't know. You're trying to tell me like why you're not working in Amsterdam right now.
Oh yeah, exactly. But so for Panache, thank you very much. I do this sometimes. I go like, oh, where am I? Way too much stuff in my body when I was young. Anyway. And so, but you need, and I said it in other talks and when I was here also, basically we're using technology. This is what we do as like an art form. We're using technology to make, to give emotion to people. And so you need to build technology when you start. And this is what Ancestors is for us, is the first building block, the first little pretty big doll for Panache Digital Games to make 1666 Amsterdam in the future, to make other games in the future. Because since I'm president, creative director, game designer, I make my own games with Panache, and I do third-person games. In the keynote, we talked about VR, and I didn't raise my hand because I don't do VR. I do Assassin's Creed, Prince of Persia type of game, and I want my next 15 games will be in the same vein, if I don't die making them. But we'll finish this one. It's getting bigger than what I anticipated.
Yeah, it was supposed to be very small, very episodic. Did you keep like the episodic still? Or the marketing guy is going to kill me if I'm asking that?
Exclusive. The episodic nature of his Ancestors is gone.
Okay, no, that's big. Cool. So that's a definite?
I don't know if I had the right to say it.
Yeah.
But now it's there. Like you can forget about the episodic nature of my marketing GF in Montreal. Now it's out there.
Cool.
He's gonna be happy.
Okay, so like where are you right now? At what stage are you right now with like building those building blocks that you need to like to continue making this game and the future games, of course?
We're at sprint 14.
Okay, tell me more about that.
No, but it's a joke, and it's not a joke. This is how we work. We're doing sprints of 6 weeks, and that's it. Forget the rest. We have dates. We have a word for where we're at. Some people will say we're finishing up pre-production, for whatever it means. Basically, we're in sprint 14. I know what's going to be in sprint 15 a little bit. I have no clue what's going to be in sprint 16. And a sprint is composed of 1 week of design/planning together in that white room where we write on the walls and everything. And then we do stuff for 4 weeks. We follow each other. We make sure that twice a week we talk to each other about our tasks. And then we have the 6th week where we debug and we wrap it up and we ship it. We ship every 6 weeks, but it's just for us. But it's shipped. It's a shippable product. And then we start anew. I play the last version of that sprint. I take notes, and I'm the client. I said, in the next sprint, I want, and I write a little paragraph. And on the Tuesdays, because at Panache there's no Mondays, you cannot call a meeting on a Monday. Yeah. Mondays are for bank, change your tire on your car, go see the dentist. This is your day. You won't miss a meeting. And I can say there's no Mondays when you work at Panache, which is a good way of recruiting people.
Yeah.
Try it. And it's cool because everybody, we had a weekend. And you come back to work, and it's a bit like groggy, and you take your mail, and you play the bill, then you go on, you do your Facebook thing again, and then on Tuesday at 11, there's the team meeting, and then the week starts. I don't make any decision on Fridays.
Yeah.
No, because I'll think about it during the weekend, and I'll change my mind on Tuesday. So no decision making on Fridays. Those are the little things that, I try to have panache all the time.
So I managed to pull out from you that the game is not going to be episodic anymore. So that's a big thing, a big change. But what can
Yes,
I also pull out from you? Like, what, can you tell us more? Like any other big changes that came from when you first initially revealed it 2 years ago on the stage in Dubrovnik as well?
the subject didn't change. We're making changes about each time we're discovering new stuff about our ancestors. We're trying to make sure it reflects science or reality or what we think was the reality million years ago. But we change a lot of stuff from what I envisioned 4 years ago now. But the core is still the same. It's a third-person action-adventure game set 10 million years ago, between 10 to 2 million years ago. And before it was really structured through episodic in mind, so that changed the pace. But the content is the same. Now I'm just like, okay, let's build a bigger world. We can do it first, right? The team is like, oh, I think we could do a bigger game with 20 people.
How bigger?
It's so different. Yeah, okay. I don't know. Now I need to, be careful. No, because I'm used to, to talk to people about what I'm doing with, and so I had okay, this I can say, this I cannot. But so it was hour per hour. That was the episodic nature. Now it's more like it's open and it's like I really let the players tell their own stories. That was not the case with the episodic nature of the game. So that changed a lot, and that makes the game bigger. It's systems that are talking to each other. And it's not me taking the player by the hand and say, I want you to live this emotion in this order. Now it's more like, have fun with the toy I'm giving you. And you'll really create the story of your own ancestors. And maybe you'll be different than what science said happened. It'll be your own lineage that you'll create. So, did I answer the question?
Yeah. Sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So basically the theme stayed more or less the same, like the theme of the game. Like the
Because that was my fantasy. That was the thing. It's like, we're all big apes. That's what we are. And we're kind of like mutants because we live in a really fast-paced technological a place, but this is not what we are. We are made out of the jungle. We're there. That's why we're so fucking sorry. We're scared of everything. That's our thing. As a big ape, right? Big apes are gorillas, chimps, and bonobos, and us. There's 4 main big apes on this planet. We're not monkeys. It's not the same thing. In English, there's 2 words. So big apes, what we are. We're afraid of everything. That's our main threat. We are good at fleeing. So that is why we're afraid of talking in front of people. We're just afraid. We're afraid of missing the train. We're afraid of everything because that's what we are. And I feel like this is a good story to tell, that this is why we're all fucked up. Because there's no more danger. We are the dominant species of this planet, but we're still afraid. And we start war because of that. We have our time talking to each other because of that. And I said, well, because I feel like game is a really good way of teaching stuff to people, that I need to tell that story. That we come 10 million years ago, we were in a jungle in Africa, all of us, and then eventually we got good at walking up. By the way, I'm just telling that story. It's like it's not the savannah thing anymore. Savannah happened, and we were already walking up. So we were good. And so we went through a lot of climate changes, and eventually we were there. And then we were still really primate until 100 years ago. And then 100 years ago, everything went really, really, really fast. And now we're like, whoa, I'm stuck with my brain that wants to flee everything, but that's not how it works. I need to go have a job. I need to have money to buy food. And I wanted to tell that story through movement, to the joy of a gamepad with camera's angle and nice 3D world and nice music. And that's what I'm going to show in about 20 minutes, right?
Cool.
Are we good on time?
Well, like whenever you want to show it.
Towards the end.
Cool. Like, I don't know if people can wait.
I like to tease. Tease is good.
Cool. So what I also wanted to discuss with you is now, like moving from the triple A production to what we are now calling a triple I production,
Yeah.
or call it whatever you want. Obviously, there are some productional changes on the output that a certain number of creators, your developers, can do in a day, a week, a month, or a year. Does that mean that in the end you'll be working on a game for a much longer time than what you were used to previously? Or do you think that there won't be constraints like that?
For sure, in your triangle of money, resources, and time, eventually you need to go and move one of them. Time is the thing that I'm trying to push as far as possible. And eventually, you have to ship it, and you have to say, okay, it's enough. Sorry, I got something on my tongue, and it'll be nice. For the money part, I think we're good at Panache. Like, I didn't ask for $200 million to make a game, which I had before somehow. And on the team, I got quality people. So it's for sure time would be where I said let's ship it when it's ready, but we still have a date in mind. We kind of like aim for a date, and we'll try to achieve it. And for people who ask what is triple I, because I was asked before, and it's like triple A. We know it's the quality of the game, but being 25, we're indie and we're not. It's kind of like unfair for the 6 people in their basement, because and we're like we don't come out of school, right? We're experienced people together. So I feel like it's more like it's independent, but it's a quality of independence and game making a bit higher than maybe other studios, and this is why I call it triple I. It's a little play on words and yeah, because I wish I could have ideas about games in like isometric view with some pixel stuff, but this is not what I think of, and because I'm not a really good designer. I said it before, and I feel it's true. Like I think of a world that I want to play in, like I was a kid, and I just make them. So I'm not like. I'm just reusing what science is telling me. I'm saying, hey, I know how to put the camera to shoot a character, and I have a good friend, Alex, who's my lead animator. So he's the guy who made the Prince, and he made Altair, and he made Ezio. Now he's making our Ancestor. So it's the same guy. So this is my creative partner. So I imagine a character, I imagine a control scheme, and he goes in a suit, and he does mocap, and now he does it with professional people. But he was in the suit for the Prince. So Alex Drouin is in fact the Prince of Persia. Yeah. And he's Alex is like, and we have a discussion because I wish Alex would be here and talk with you guys, because he's the best animator in the game industry. But really, all the other animators out there say, who's that guy who made those characters that behave like real characters, yet they're fun. They're not, and they have a weight, and they have a way of moving, and it's Alex. And his name is Alex, by the way. It's not a short name. That's his actual name. Anyway, I don't know why I say that again. No, it's not Alexandre. It doesn't have a longer. It's Alex. So, and Alex is really, really good, and he's an animator who's a game animator, and that's important also. He's not there like he doesn't want to make a movie afterwards, and he knows that animation is different for a game than for a movie. It's about shorter things and coming up with recipe. So, in fact, he calls himself a behavior animator. He creates behaviors for characters. And I wish he was here, but he doesn't like to talk in front of people at all. He's the most funny guy ever. People love to listen to him, but he's shy, and he doesn't want to do it, so I do it for him.
Regarding the genre of the game, as you already mentioned, it's a third-person action game, and it seems that you have been sticking to making those kind of games for years, like since early beginnings.
Yeah.
But
This is
why?
what I do.
Like, I know that you are already mastered the genre. Do you think that you can still say a lot or something new in it that's like different enough?
Right now,
Are you not afraid that people are always going to be like comparing all of your new games to Assassin's Creed from before?
oh, they will, and it's okay. It isn't like I'm the same guy. I did it. I'm proud of what I did with my teams. Like we did awesome games, I think, right? Like Prince of Persia was I know, and I remember having a how called that focus test. Yes?
Yeah, focus test.
You know, you're behind
Glass.
glasses, and they don't see you. And I was in Cincinnati, and a guy who just finished Sands of Time. He said, "Oh, it changed my life because before that, me in Cincinnati, I don't know, I never actually saw the beauty. I didn't understand what beauty was, and I played that game, and I saw like the palace was so beautiful, and I experienced beauty. And this is what we do when we do make games. We change people's life. You have no clue. And so I'm proud of." And Assassin, I saw the Assassin's Creed movie for the first time yesterday in the plane.
What do you think about it? Come on.
Okay, I think I said it. It's Hollywood who took, but it's the second one. It's my second movies made by Hollywood about the game I made, and I never actually participated in the two movies. Eventually, not Ancestors. I don't see Ancestors being a really good Hollywood movie right now. But to answer your question about
the genre,
it's the first time that I'm creating a character that interacts with the jungle. Never done that before. There's no architecture in Africa 10 million years ago. I'm used to have a character who jumps on walls. There's no wall. And foliage. How do you interact with foliage? Like, so we're using Speed Tree, but Speed Tree for us is like just for prototyping. Because after that, we need to build every single tree. You play with every tree that you see. I've never done that. And so it's interesting. Never been on the ground of a jungle. What's the light on the ground of a jungle? How does it work? Right? I've never done a character who's afraid of everything all the time. Right? No sword. There's no sword fight. Doesn't work. Eventually you have a branch and we'll see what we do with it. But the subject matter is so different. So each time, the base is there. I know where to put my camera. But even, we lost the feed. Something happened. You need this if you want.
Yeah, we definitely need it.
Maybe, I see. It's my computer.
Oh,
my
yeah.
computer totally like fell. And you make sure
and
it's
we're
okay?
back.
And we're back. Whew. You need to fix this, Damir, by the way. By the end of the conference, this thing here, you need to fix this. I want it,
It's kind of cool. It gives it like a unique...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fix it.
Well, I'll do something about it. Okay, so you're constantly talking about Africa. So the... Yeah, no.
That's what I said for 30 minutes. Africa.
No, but you're like, regarding the setting, because I know that when we initially discussed the game, like there were various settings being discussed, progress throughout the game and stuff like that. Obviously, going from episodic to a fixed game. Are you now restricting the game more to like a certain setting? Can we even talk about that? Probably not.
He's trying. Right now, you're right. We are in Africa, and the game world is big. I cannot say too much. I know you all want to know more, but and it's funny because I feel like we live in a day that we want to know, and then when we experience the thing, we're like, it's not what I expected, and because we know too much, the trailers are so long, it's 2.5 minutes, we know all the plot, and then we watch the movie and like, well, yeah, but, right, and we live in like, so no, I like to not you will eventually experience it. And I know it was bad for Persona 5 when they say, stop streaming, and I understand it's stupid, like, you stream, but kind of like, don't go watch the stream, though, because then you won't experience it. You'll just, I don't know. So I know you all want to know everything, but you'll play it in a few months.
Yeah, when?
Months. A lot of S's. Okay? So, but eventually, like, we didn't stick in Africa, right? It's called the Great Migration. We all come from Africa, and eventually we move on, right? How? We followed the muscles. This is how I call it. The reason why we're everywhere on this planet is because for a long period of time, we were on the beaches. And on the beaches, there's food. There's like scallops, and it's the easiest thing to eat. You don't have to, they're just there, they wait, and so seafood was our main thing. And then, but after a while, if there's no more seafood, so you move a little bit. Oh, there's seafood, and then you eat the seafood, and then, oh, it's done. And then like that, we went all over the world for seafood. So seafood is the thing that drives us forward. So because we're afraid of everything. So we went inside the savannah. Said, oh, there's big beasts. Whoa, let's go back to the seafood. But it's true, and true. And eventually, there was no more seafood. So we said, okay, and then our brain got bigger and bigger, and eventually we killed the big ones, by the way. We started by the big animals, because the big animals are slow. Because, no, it's true, right? The rabbit, oh... I'm not afraid of it, but it's too fast. So we killed the big ones, and then there was no more big animals. That will be in the game, by the way, because it's about you have to manage your resources, and we're really bad at managing resources in general. But it's still today, still today. But do you know why we find so many like silex and rocks from back then? It's because basically what we find are the dumpster, right? Where we throw our stuff. Is it how we call it? Yeah. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Of rocks, because we were like in the rock age, we built a lot of rocks and say, oh, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good, right? So this is what we find everywhere. It's where it's the bad stuff that we left behind. And so, yeah. So the resources is something you're gonna have to manage in Ancestors. So see, a new thing,
thanks.
a new thing.
So yeah.
But
it's a game about seafood in Africa.
We moved out of Africa, so for now, let's focus on Africa. But for sure, we'll go elsewhere. This is basically Ancestors 1, right? We'll see, because it's
Cool. I love how you are vague about a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm vague and not. You go on Wikipedia and everything's there.
Nah, it's not.
It's not. Hey, can we see the movie?
No, not yet. I want to allow 2 questions from the audience. Okay. So just 2 questions. Anybody has anything very direct and non-vague to ask, but Patrice to reveal to us? Anybody? Noreen?
Thank you. That was really interesting.
Thank you.
Think that might have been production pipeline, was it? Anyhow, we wait and see. I was going to ask you, is there some tribal warfare? You talk about migration and humans moving from territory to territory. There must have been some sort of conflict and some tribal warfare, because there's a limited number of mussels and scallops.
From what I understood, I'm not a scholar on my subject matter, but I can know a lot these days. From what I understood, and my takeaway from everything that I read is that we're not fundamentally violent people. This is not our thing. Our really thing is this. Is this what we're doing right now? This is our thing. It's not fighting each other. It's listening to each other, trying to communicate, and try to help each other out. This is what we are, basically. It is the reason why we're the only big apes with small teeth. Here, the canine are small. All big apes have big canine because the male, we're not that violent. We don't have to fight each other to win the female. And it's true. It's like, so the female picked the guys who were less violent. We didn't like spend time fighting each other like stupid boys. We're closer to bonobos than chimps. Do you know the bonobos? Bonobos is a type of big ape who live south of the Congo River. North of the Congo River are where the chimps are. There's no bonobos north. North of the Congo River, I feel like I know my subject, it's great. North of the Congo River, this is where the chimps are, and there's another big ape there, the gorillas, and they fight for resources. And so they're the most violent. Bonobos, on the south, they're all alone, and when they have a conflict, they use sex to remove the conflict. So bonobos are peace and love type of big apes. And we're a bit like that. Some conflict may have happened, but historically, in the ground, we didn't find any evidence of conflicts between us before agriculture. It's true. War basically started when we put boundaries around ourselves to protect our farms, our cattle. And when my tribe had a good year, maybe your tribe didn't have a good year, and then you would say, well, I know where to find food. And then this is when war, at least this is at the beginning of agriculture and cattle, we started to find places where war, even though we may have some conflicts, and yes, we also ate each other sometimes. Cannibalism was part of who we are also. And it's funny because, exclusive again, 2 months ago we had this big powwow at the beginning of 2017, say what are we going to do this year, and we had this discussion. This is the type of discussion we have in our studio. What do we do with cannibalism? Are we making it? Are we putting it in the game? Is it something where, like, if the character is really, really hungry and the only resources is left because the player doesn't play well, can he kill one of his own and eat that guy? And I'm not telling what was our answer, but it's part of the discussion we're having. And it's funny that the reason why we can, and we'll show it eventually, the reason why we can also produce that much is that my team is on a mission. They're telling that story to you guys. They feel like, wow, okay, it's important what we're doing. It's more than, even though we, we play a bunch of different types of game and we just like to have fun, we feel like, wow, we're telling our story and people will experience that eventually, and so they produce more and with better quality. So eventually maybe there will be some conflict in the game. We're not there yet at all. I'm just like now, and let's show it after the question.
Another one, and then we are showing it.
And now I'm hyping it so much. It's 1.5 minutes, okay? So you don't think it's got, and it's not someone playing, you'll see. But don't like, it's good, but come on, it's we're still like years ahead.
So
go ahead.
So the question is, obviously you're working on something that's incorporating a lot of new design, new concepts that you haven't worked on before. And in the course of working on this game, have you had many moments when you had to do like 90-degree, 180-degree turns? Said, shit, this is not working. What am I gonna do? You know? And I'm
so good. It's
no, okay.
Every week, every day. This is what we do. This is the art of the game making. You have an idea, you try to implement it. Sometimes it works as you thought. Sometimes it doesn't at all. Sometimes it's halfway, and you have to rework. Sometimes like, okay, good enough. Right? No, it's true, and you have to live with some of the good enough, otherwise you'll never ship it. So the main structure, I changed. The storytelling elements, I had a really strong vision and said, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm trying to say too much. myself, Patrice. No, shut the fuck up. Let the player experiment and have fun with it. And so yes, we did a pretty big like, okay, this doesn't work. Let's switch it. And it took 3 days to really actually because it was about removing. That's the easiest part. And there is a thing in the game, it's still there. I'm trying to say, I want it, and I'm about to say, fuck it. I'm about to. I feel it like, it quite doesn't work. And then I'm stuck with the fact that I'm putting an Homo sapiens inside the brain of a Ororintogenesis. It's tough to say. Or a Chalandesis, this one I can. Tumai, it's called Tumai. It's his surname, it's easier. And so it's this, I got this conflict, this design conflict where the character really doesn't know at all what he's capable of, and the person who's controlling that character knows it all. And so we need to answer yes to the Homo sapiens who's trying to survive with this ape. And that was not what I anticipated at first. And because I figured out that, oh, damn, the Homo sapiens, who's the player, I need to figure out a way of not telling too much, because otherwise it's not fun anymore to be that character. Because it's not about being Ezio, or it's not about being the prince anymore, it's something else. I'm not telling that story. That story I've told many times. This is where I don't want to. I'm a bit tired of the hero's journey myself personally, of telling stories that way, of that guy who's the best and will save the world. I'm like, that. This year I'm starting my 20th year in the game industry. I just realized, and I started in '97 in July. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I survived 20 years. I didn't say that for the clap, but thank you. And so this is what I've done. It's like the very first game was a knight with a sword who was jumping around. And this is it was saving the world. This story I've told. And Ancestor is something else. 1666 will be something else also, and the other 15 games that I imagine will be something else, but always in third-person action game. Because in first, I like seeing my character. I like it.
Let's play it.
Okay. Now I need to, and now they're like, oh, I hope it's really good, and now I'm really, really stressed because it's only a minute and a half.
Thank you, Patrice. Thank you for another huge exclusive. Thank you for coming to Reboot Develop again and showing the cool stuff that you're doing.
Thank you. Now I went full cycle. So I'll be back next year with new stuff, or maybe not. I don't know what to say to you anymore.
No, you need to be back. Like, come on.
Okay.
Thank you guys for coming.